I don't even know where to start. I feel like that's my dilemma with videos or anything I have to do talking. I don't know how to start. I always like my hey guys, but my husband makes fun of me for saying it. So here we go. We're gonna make it not perfect, I guess. I do want to make this video. When you become pregnant, oh my God, your YouTube channel, everything in your life becomes about pregnancy. So one of the things that I had been watching a lot has been like recaps where people talk about like how their first trimester went, how their second trimester went. And I want to go ahead and share my experience with my first trimester. We made it to the 13 weeks, going into my 14th week. So I want to make sure I make this video before I forget everything that has happened in the first 13 weeks of being pregnant. So I want to share as much as I can from my experience. Now, my goal is to not make my content all about pregnancy or being a mom, but I am into fitness and health, and this would be a great time to document on how I'm going to stay as consistent as possible with my journey while going through a new journey. This is something I talk to my clients a lot about. I want to say most of my clients are moms, and this is why I want to do this, to share this experience with them, because they have shared so much knowledge with me. I always like to say they are training me for when this happened, and of course there's no way to be trained, but you know, it's always nice to hear like what they're going through and how like we can improve that, but at the same time I'm learning with them. I do want to go over about everything. I know sometimes pregnancy can be a little bit of a sensitive subject, so I want to talk about just my experience, and I want to keep this as positive as possible. Okay, so let's go over about how I found out I was pregnant. I feel like I am very in tune with my body, very in tune, that I kind of knew something was off from the beginning, even before I missed my period. I don't know how to say this, but I'm just gonna say it. My boobs were gigantic and they hurt and they were so sensitive, and I was just like, something is different. But you know, I was supposed to get my period. I'm like, maybe it's because I'm getting my period, but they were like way too sensitive. I know, TMI, but I couldn't even wear a sports bra. Like, it was so annoying. I did end up going to a doctor to get that checked out because I do freak out. Anything wrong with my body, I'm like, I'm gonna go get checked out, because I noticed things right away. Since it was still like about a week, maybe 2 weeks before my missed period, they did do a pregnancy test, and a part of me was like, oh my God, what if I'm pregnant? How am I going to tell my husband? Like, I mean, obviously we were kind of like trying, not trying, you know, if it happens, it happens type of thing. But I was just like, I can't keep this secret by myself and he's not home. Anyways, turns out that they're like, results are negative. You're not pregnant. And I was like, okay. So I went on with my life. I was like, I guess I'm not pregnant. I'm gonna wait till my period. And my period never came. I want to say the weekend after my husband's birthday, I was like, I don't know, something is a little bit off. I have my missed period, and he's like, just give it some more days. Like, I'm sure it'll come in because this always happens to you. But I never had moments where I freak out or I had that intuition of like, no, I think I should check. But I was a little bit worried about checking. I'm not gonna lie. I was worried that sometimes I feel like, well, you know, if it happens, it happens, and there's no pressure. And I was worried that if we got a pregnancy test, like all of a sudden I would add so much pressure to myself, and all of a sudden I would want this to happen right away. So I was really scared about it, where I was like, maybe we should wait. But anyways, we didn't wait. I bought a pregnancy test. We did our normal Sunday morning walk. We went for breakfast, and then we stopped by at CVS to buy a pregnancy test. I came home and I was like, maybe I won't take it. I heard that's best if you take it in the morning. You know, you're like reading all these things. But anyways, I took it, and yeah, came out positive. People make these like videos of really cute reactions. I think we were both like, what do we do now? What's going on? I think it's very natural, right? So anyways, found out I was pregnant. I had taken prenatal vitamins, I want to say like maybe about a month or 2 months before we decided we were gonna try, not try. And I just like, maybe I'll start taking them now. They're like a multivitamin, but I already had the prenatal, so I was already doing that. And then I had a client photo shoot. I put here client photo shoot. And I remember kind of freaking out because I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do a client photo shoot? And like, you don't know, right? It's my first pregnancy. I'm like, do people show right away? Like, what if I have like horrible symptoms and everybody knows? Because I was like, I wanted to make sure that I was able to pass the first trimester because there's so many things that entails within the first trimester, which kind of talk about that later on. I did have my client photo shoot. I actually did my little personal photo shoot as well with them because I was like, I'm not going to be able to do a photo shoot anytime soon. And I really wanted to improve some of my pictures, like my profile and like for my coaching and stuff like that. I was already doing kind of like a little mini cut, not too much. My calories were not very restrictive. I was still eating a good amount. I was just having a little bit of cardio, keeping my steps high and stuff like that. And then I had my client photo shoot and I was about close to 8 weeks pregnant. So definitely kept a huge secret there. But it was really cool because I got to like do my client photo shoot and I had such a great time. Now let's go over symptoms. I have symptoms here because I feel like when you find out when you're pregnant, everybody talks about this long list of symptoms. It's like a huge list. And this is where the first trimester is a little like a roller coaster, I feel, because you hear so many good things and negative things, right? Like you don't know if you're going to make it to a second trimester, all these things. And then I was like a little bit worried about like if I wasn't having any symptoms, what does that mean? Was it like bad? So I did have a normal doctor's appointment, not an OB appointment, but I did find a general doctor because since I moved here when I got married 3 years ago, I moved from LA to San Diego, I had not found a doctor. So I'm like, oh, I now need a doctor. It was confirmed through blood work that I am pregnant, but you know, there's still like these thoughts in your head. You have weird thoughts in your head when you become pregnant. So let's talk about symptoms. I'm not here to brag. I didn't have morning sickness that I noticed of. I did have a little bit of nausea here and there, very light. I feel like the only time I felt like a little bit nauseous, it was more like towards if I didn't eat at my time I'm supposed to eat type of thing. But other than that, I got that pretty well. I don't want to jinx myself. That's something, you know, I'm gonna knock on wood. But I did have symptoms, okay? I was very grumpy. You guys can ask my husband. He would tell you that my mood swings were the worst. He's like, I know your mood swings based on your period, but your mood swings were like, he said, I would go from like really good to like the worst within seconds. I couldn't stand myself either. The other thing is I wrote this down and I did not make any sense. I was very emotional. After like, I want to say like 8 weeks or so, I would start crying. Like if I watched something, it would make me cry. I would start thinking about becoming a mom and I would cry. I started thinking about how I was going to announce it to my mom and I would start crying. Like it was just like, I would be up at 4 a.m. crying, okay? Because for whatever reason, my sleeping schedule has been really off. I've been super tired, but I don't know if I was tired because of the pregnancy, because you're growing a little human, or because I was waking up at 3:30, 4 a.m. in the morning and I couldn't sleep. So that was another symptom that I was pretty tired and I am not the best at taking naps. Hunger. I wasn't really hungry or anything like that, but I did notice that if I didn't eat at my normal meals, like I would get really hungry and it was the worst. Like I would get really hangry. Like I already get hangry, but I would get extremely hangry. So I had to make sure I stayed on top of my meals, making sure that I did not skip my meals. There was another thing that I was going to say here. I would get lightheaded when I would stand up. That has kind of gone away, but I don't know if it's because now when I stand up, I am a lot slower at standing up because I know I get lightheaded and it is not a fun time. Those are kind of like the only symptoms that I have noticed. Now I want to talk about my fitness and what has changed with my workouts or what has been going on. So with my workouts, not much has changed. Everything has stayed the same. During the first trimester, there's really not much to change. Your body's still pretty much the same. It looks the same. My coach knew that I was pregnant before the photo shoot, it was important that she knew that I was pregnant because we needed to move away from like the diet phase. Anyways, that I will talk about food later on. So my fitness stayed the same. I still kept in my cardio to stay pretty active. I still go on my morning walks, my afternoon walks. I kept my steps as consistent as possible. There was a time when I was doing the photo shoot with my clients. We were doing like 18,000 steps. I was trying to keep up with them. I don't know if that was a good one. I probably should have slowed it down a little bit, but you know, I do like to stay as active as possible. After the client photo shoot, I want to say like a week after, I did have a deload week. So a deload week is either you take a full week off of the gym or you have less workouts. So I ended up doing 2 workouts. I wanted to have a full week, but to be honest, I got a little bored and I had to go to the gym. So the reason I had deload was, one, I was pretty tired, and I think also like the emotions of finding out that I was pregnant got to me. And the other thing is like, I remember like, I was like, oh my God, I did my bikini prep and then I reversed out of that prep. And in case you guys don't know, that's the time where like I prepped for my bikini. I got my bikini show. I got very lean. I kept all my workouts. My cardio was pretty high. And then you reverse out of it. So the way you reverse out of it is your cardio does start to decrease, but you can't just stop doing things and your calories do start to increase. I was nonstop going for more than 6 months, right? Once a year, my coach and I, we do have more like a deload week where I do let my body rest. And I was like, I think this is the time to let my body rest. So I did take that week off. Well, some days off. I worked out twice. The only thing that has changed with my workouts is I'm doing 5 days right now a week. I am doing 4 days a week. And the reason being is that I was working out all 5 days straight and then I'll have 2 days off from the gym, 2 rest days. I can't do that right now. I get so exhausted. So if I have 2 days on, if I try to do a 3rd day, I'm really pushing my body. So I really want to listen to my body. So I am having 2 days, have a rest day. I have 2 days. And it's been like that for like, I want to say the last recent 3 weeks or so. My goal is to hopefully still be able to do 5, but you know, I'm pretty happy with 4 if that's all I can do. I have also decreased the volume of my workouts. Not all the time. Sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I had weeks where my workouts feel amazing. Like I am in the best place right now. If you're a gym goer or if you're obsessed with working out, you probably know what I'm talking about. But there are times where I show up and I'm like, man, this workout feels so good. When I decrease my volume of my workouts is that I am not doing as much sets or as much reps. I'm mainly focusing on doing anywhere between 3 to 4 sets of each exercise, depending on how I'm feeling. So that's how my fitness is going. It's staying pretty consistent right now. Everybody says that the 2nd trimester seems to be really good. You get more energy, you feel good. I'm kind of excited to just get to my normal routine. But yeah, 4 days, it's a good time. I get 2 lower body days and 2 upper body days. Now let's talk about food changes. So after the team photo shoot, my individual photo shoot, my coach and I did bump up my calories where I am at close to like maintenance and a little bit above. Now the first trimester, you know, I am a certified pregnancy and post-pregnancy coach. I completely know that the first trimester, your body, as long as you are giving it the calories that it needs to maintain its body, doesn't need any extra calories to grow the baby, right? So it doesn't need any extra calories. You're completely fine. So we did increase. So I did remove from like a fat loss phase as soon as possible to like a healthy, maintainable calories where it is anywhere between 1,800 to 1,900 calories. Obviously, that does spike up my weight as well because we did increase my carbs. And carbs do cause a little bit of water retention. So it does cause your weight to increase. So that's another thing that we can talk about. My weight, when I found out I was pregnant, I was like already leading into weighing 118. And towards the end of my first trimester, I was at 121. Right now I'm at 122. So my weight did increase by a little bit. I don't know if it's just because my body's holding on to a little bit of water because we increased food, or or I've been having a little bit extra food depending on what I'm craving, which we will talk about cravings pretty soon. That has been something, and I know everybody's first trimester is different. I know I kind of freaked out at first. I've been through a transition from a lean phase to a building phase where you do start to gain weight, and it's a little bit uncomfortable. It's not fun until you adjust to the new body. Honestly, right now, every like 2-3 pounds feel like you gain like 5-10 pounds. So that's just how it feels when you are very lean during this time. Right now, my 121, I was like, oh my God, what happened? Also, like my body is holding on to body weight a lot different than what I've experienced before. So I noticed most of it is going towards like closer to my belly and stuff like that. I have to remember I'm pregnant, so I shouldn't be freaking out about these things, okay? Now let's talk about cravings. And I do have some symptoms that just came up in my mind right now. So this video is going to be a little bit all over the place, and I don't want to make it too long. I did have a few cravings every so often. My cravings have been weird. Also, like I've been in my fitness journey for such a long time that I have cravings every day, and I know how to avoid them. So I don't know if it's just because I train myself so well to avoiding cravings that I don't really give into them. But there were some situations. So like there was a day I got really hungry. Remember, I can't get too hungry because otherwise like it's the worst. I got really hungry and I wanted a torta. I really wanted a torta. Like to the point where I wanted to cry if I didn't get that torta. But I didn't have it. The other thing is I wanted fruit. Like I just wanted fruit. Fruit has been my thing right now. And I've been craving Mexican food. I don't know how to explain it. I wanted some rice, beans, and tortillas, obviously with a little bit of meat and stuff like that. Those are kind of the cravings. I've also wanted a lot of things, not one thing. Like in my head, I'm like, if I could just have a bite off of all these things, then I would be happy. But that would be crazy to buy all these things just to take a bite. And pizza. I love pizza. I always get these cravings after a fat loss phase. So I don't know if it's the pregnancy or just the fact that I just love pizza. And I just been craving more fatty things. Maybe that's why it's like the pizza. That's, you know, one of the things. So let's talk about two symptoms that I forgot to mention. These symptoms are probably the worst, okay? Constipation when you're pregnant. What? Like I never really dealt with constipation. And I know like they said sometimes the prenatal vitamins can cause constipation because of the iron in them. And I've also heard that your digestion slows down because it's trying to give nutrients to the baby. So I don't know what it is, but I have had days where I'm constipated. And this might be TMI, but it's okay. I tell my clients like, hey, this is things that we need to talk about. My digestion is very regular. I go every day. So not going to the bathroom every day has been very uncomfortable for me. I do not enjoy this. My eating habits haven't fully changed. I'm still eating the same amount that would, you know, make my digestion work pretty well. And I also added more fruit to my meals. Like instead of eating, you know, rice, I'll have like an apple, which has more fiber in it. I don't know, just constipation. Not a fun time, okay? The other thing is like, I was a little gassy for a few times, and I'm gonna leave it as there. You can use your imagination or don't use your imagination. It was horrible. Finally got to see the OB at week 11. This was the day that I know everybody, like I think there's different doctors do different things, but my OB, I was able to get an appointment at week 11. During that appointment, it is about a 2-hour appointment. My husband went with me. I wanted to make sure he went, and we did get to hear the heartbeat. Let me bring up the pictures. So I did get a ultrasound of the baby, and we got to hear the first heartbeat. Also, it was something I didn't expect. I get very awkward around people, you know. The person who did the ultrasound, she was a registered nurse, and she was so sweet. She was like telling me everything, and I felt like I was very like like, oh, wow. I tend to be that way, to be honest. Yeah, I guess I didn't know what to think of it as like the first ultrasound. Obviously, it's still very tiny. I remember seeing it. I know this might sound a little bit mean, but I was like, oh my God, it looks like a little alien because its head's still like a little bit bigger than the whole body. So yeah, that was pretty cool experience. I did record it, but it was also funny because I was just like, felt like my husband and I were both like, oh wow. we weren't sure if this was really happening. So yeah, I did have my first ultrasound. It was a vaginal ultrasound. The reason they did this is because they say this is the best way you get a clear vision of the baby. Nothing bad happens during this time. And then after that, we had planned already going to go see my mom. This was going to be such a special moment because I wanted my mom to be the first one to know. I don't want to get emotional right now. The way we announced it to my mom was her and her partner like to play scratchers. So we found a little scratcher. I have the video. Maybe I'll post it. I don't know. Maybe I'll keep it personal. But it was so funny because we bought normal scratchers too. And then we just gave my mom the other scratcher. She was a little upset that her partner, he's very special to us, that he got the $10 ones. And why did we give her a $10 and a $5 scratchers? She felt like she was ripped off. And then I was trying to have her like scratch. I just know she was supposed to scratch one part first, and then she scratches what prize she was gonna win. And she was trying to scratch the prize, and I was like, no, that's not how it works. You need to scratch this part first. So she scratched it, and it said that we were having a baby. And that to me felt like, okay, this is real. I already told my mom, which she's a very special person in my life, and my family knows now. This kind of made things a little bit more real because I feel like the first trimester, such a weird moment because there's like, you try to be happy, but there's all this fear and you try to avoid all like the negative things, but they're still there all the time. But yeah, this is how my first trimester recap has gone. Body wise, I feel like everybody's like kind of like weird. Like a part of you is like, okay, I want to show so that way I know that it's happening. But part of me is also like, I don't want to show yet. That has been weird. I also don't feel like I show, like I still look the same. My body still looks the same. But towards the end of the night, I don't know if my body just gets exploded from like the food and stuff like that. I do feel like my belly looks a little bit bigger. But that's it. I'm gonna cut it here because this video is super long. Just wanted to share this journey with you so far of how I've been able to stay as consistent as possible during this new journey of being pregnant. And then we'll see after when the baby comes. And hopefully I remember to do a second trimester recap. All right. Hopefully this wasn't all over the place. And if you are a pregnant girl out there, hopefully I can help you see that, yeah, you're able to still stay very healthy and fit during this time. It's actually a lot healthier for your baby as well. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.